What's up guys, Cardprotagonist here, and today we'll be doing a deck profile on the Royal Paladin Altmile deck from GBT-14. So the brand new booster set has given Altmile lots of upgrades, such as early game rush and a finisher. So right now this finisher is really incredible, which is able to finish off opponents even at the first strike if played well. So what are the pros and cons of this Altmile deck? Right now it is one of the greatest rush deck because it has really strong early game and very good first strike. However, the cons of the deck is if you fight Link Joker, just surrender, because once they lock one of the columns, you are pretty much screwed, because you won't be able to do the Altmile loop combo, which is one of the winning images of the deck. So without further ado, let us go on with the deck profile. First up, we play 4 copies of Higher DT Knight Altmile, the brand new strike break for the Altmile clan. So he is similar to Chaos Breaker Crisis. Whenever you ride him as a Vanguard or you perform strike, you can, at a cost of 1 Soul Blast, a brave unit from his soul, you'll be able to search for 1 brave unit and call it your rearguard circle. Really good, because back then if you want to use the Altmile combos, the counter blast is really important for the deck. So right now you only use soul to superior core units, then use the counter blast to finish off your opponents. He also has a Vanguard and rearguard skill, which is fantastic because sometimes if you do not have any great tools, you can call it out as a very strong beat stick. His rearguard Vanguard skill is brave. This unit gives us 5k attack power and additional critical, which is really good because during the late game, it actually really pressures the opponent when he's striding into Fides. So yeah, definitely a really good improvement from the previous Altmile we have, which is Royal Decree. And I really like this card because his art is amazing and he has so much great combos you can play in this deck. So yeah, so for copies of the boss monster or the strike break in the deck, basically your main right target. So next up, the secondary grade 3 plays 3 copies of Knight of Heavenly Decree Altmile. So his first skill is Vanguard GB2 Brave. When this unit attacks, choose up to 5 of your rearguards and the game plus 4k power until end of turn. So this unlikely you'll be using this skill unless you do not have your strike. It's still great to power up your rearguards when you attack, but otherwise it's mediocre at best. Its second ability is at the beginning of your right phase, you can choose up to 1 card from your hand and call it to rearguard circle. And that unit gives us 4k power until end of turn. So back then we used this to super core other rearguards so that they gain power and swing harder. It's pretty much free plus 4k, so it's decent. And thirdly is the strike break skill. When you perform strike, choose up to 1 card from your hand and call it the rearguard circle, and choose one of your units with brave ability and gives us 4k power. So basically it powers up your brave units. It's okay, but the brand new Altmile really outshadows him right now, and it's mostly used there because he has the Altmile in the name and you want to get him to soul with the starter, which I'll get through later on. Alright, the great tools we play is 4 copies of Sepgal. Sepgal is a brand new rare card from the booster set GBT-14, and he is really good because first off, he is not GB restricted, so you can really get your early game going with him. When this card enters the Vanguard circle by either you riding or it's being caught from the hand to the rearguard circle, you can pay the cost of 1 Soul Blast and reveal 1 Altmile from your hand. If you do, you can superior call 1 7k brave unit from your deck and call it to rearguard circle. Really good because early game you want to really get your game going and call out stuff like him. So think about it, if you're fighting against your opponent and they ride into 7k, you have this and have this, it's pretty much a magic number because he himself, if you have a Altmile Vanguard, you gains plus 1k power. Sorry, if you have a Brave Vanguard, it gains a 1k power, so 8k plus 9k. It's kind of a magic number against 7k. So your opponent will have to guard 15 as a rearguard, and it's really powerful. And secondly is, even though he may not be really powerful in the late game, he's still a decent attacker for your Altmile combo loop because he has the Brave ability which bumps up to 11k. Being able to solo the Vanguard, especially when you're in Fides, is really good. 5k pokes are very deadly in this deck, so definitely I will give him a try because if you were to pull him off early game, you definitely have the game in your hands because once you hit opponent 4, you can just go to first strike Fides and end the game. Alright, so 4 copies. Either way, if you do not want to play him, you could previously actually tried playing her. She looks really good and she actually works well in the deck. So she has a brave ability. When she enters the rearguard circle and you have select 1 card the same column as her with a brave ability and give her total power to that unit. So for example, let's say I have him behind, Felix behind, you can call her. What I do is usually I'll call her with the Fides skill, Fides GB4 skill, call her, and most likely because of Felix skill, if you have 2 Felixes, she will also gain the power. So her overall power, which usually will be 15k and above, will pass to Felix, so that will be over 30k to guard, especially for a finishing attack. So this is more of like you want a finisher playstyle and you want a waifu in the deck, I guess you could play her. So otherwise you can just play a deck full of boys if you want to. Alright, so Sepkao is very good early game. Now for the staples of the deck, you must play 4 of these guys, otherwise you're doing it wrong. So 4 copies of River Rod. His first continuous skill is if you don't have a Brave Vanguard, this unit can't attack as a Rearguard. So pretty much this whole deck is Brave, especially if you're playing Altmile. This is why you can't really abuse him in Blasters. It's just to balance out the deck. Second, is really good because he has 10k base, so even if you write him as a Vanguard, you will be able to protect against potential rush decks. Second ability is Brave ability. When this unit attacks, so it does not specify the need to attack the Vanguard. When this unit attacks and you're in Brave, you can counter blast 1 and select and super call 1 grade 2 with the Brave ability to the Rearguard circle and then shuffle your deck. So really important because you will be using this to abuse with Sulaiman, which is what I'm going to go through right now. Sulaiman's skill, Brave ability, continuous. So if you're in Brave and have an Altmile Vanguard, it gives us 3k power, really good 12k. Secondly is his ability to super call units. When this unit attacks the Vanguard and you have an Altmile Vanguard, count blast 1 and discard 1 card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for grade 2 and call it the Rearguard circle. That unit gives us 2k power. So what you do is you during your feeder's turn, you're most likely gonna call this, attack, call this, attack, call this, attack, call this, attack, call this, and imagine all those 5k pokes. Feeders makes all your 5ks into 10ks, because if your opponent were to guard with only one card, you will go through, so most likely they will have to drop an additional card. So the key of this deck is to do small pokes, continuous small pokes, and you'll be able to deplete your opponent's hand size. So 4 copies of Sulaiman is a must in this deck, and if during your feeder's turn you do not have one of these combos, you are pretty much screwed because you won't be able to do the loop. So yeah, watch out you guys. So next up is 1 tech copy of Redon. The reason why I do still play him is because of his Brave ability. So I usually don't use him as an attacker unless I really need to. I find that I really run out of grade 2s in this deck really easily because of all the search power that Altmile has given. So his ability is, while this card is in Brave, other units on the front row other than him gets a 3k power. So mostly I always call him behind the Vanguard. So my front row again plus 3k plus 3k plus 3k. Alright, think about this. If you have 2 of these on the field, his ability also gives front rows plus 2k. So 4k plus 3k, 7k. So it is good because sometimes if you do your poke combo and your opponent were to check a trigger, you will still at least be able to swing because it's 10k to guard. Maybe it make first attack 10k, let's say they get the trigger. The next unit called will still be able to poke for 5k, which is very important because if they check a trigger, they're still gonna get screwed by the combos. So this guy actually fixes the magic number and problem of your opponent's sacking a crit or trigger during your battle turn. So yeah, personally I play him as attack. And his second ability is when this card enters the Rearguard circle and you have an Altmile Vanguard, you may gain plus 3k power for this turn. And if you have a G unit face up, you can discard 1 card of your hand to give this guy a boost ability. So yeah, I guess it's just there's a booster 1 turn and it's pretty much final turn tech if you want to. And of course you can always call him just in case you don't have any more grade 2s on the field. So yeah, personally it's a personal tech, and of course the good thing about him is he is re-budget because you can get him in the tournament promo pack. If you guys are playing in the Japanese, definitely join more tournaments because you'll be able to get awesome goodies such as Luat alternate art, which is like a full art thingy, or Chronojet anime version, Chronojet G, and this guy. Yeah, he used to be in the Try 3 next booster and is a real pain in the butt to get, but you can get it in these tournament packs, which is great. I got quite a lot of them because I play some tournaments. So yeah, 1 copy as a tech. You guys can play other stuff if you want to. Personally, he has given me a lot of great plays as well. So next up, we play for grade 1s. We play 4 copies of Philax. Philax is just so damn good. He's one of the best grade 1s we have so far. So continuous skill, when you have a Brave Vanguard, he gains us 1k and the resist ability. So once again, he won't be able to be targeted by lock unless it's Chaos Breaker, which forces you to go lock from the hand. So GG. Second ability is continuous at GB2. If you're Altmile Vanguard and you're in Brave, your front row gains 2k power and the resist ability. So it is really good because first off, once you have him on the field and you're in Brave, you won't get Deny Griffin anymore. A really good counter to Kagero decks, and stacking him both on the field makes your whole front row gain 4k, 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 which helps you push for magic numbers. So a really fantastic unit, and I definitely made him at 4. Next, 1 tech copy of Angel. The reason why I still play her is because Altmile is able to fetch out a brave unit. So sometimes if you do really need a perfect guard, especially against Battle Sister and their Stillwater Rush, you can use Altmile skill, call her out. At the end of the turn, you can always bounce her back to your hand and get a free perfect guard. So yeah, that's pretty much just attack, because you really only need to use one copy of her, because you can search them out with Altmile. Altmile is just such a great card. So one copy of that perfect guard and 3 copies of the brave one. So the brave perfect guards pretty much is a pretty simple ability. When you guard, when this card's placed on the guardian circle, you can soul charge 1, which is good because you have fewer soul for your Altmile soul blasts. And if you have 1 or less hand size, you can just perfect guard without paying a cost, so you can just guard like this. So after your feeders combos, most likely you're gonna have 3 or less hand size. So most of the time, if you have this in your hand with a guard, if a heal trigger, you most likely will be very safe because we have a lot of great defense right now. So this is my perfect guard combos, our perfect guard lineup. Next up is just 4 copies of Strike Fodder. I personally like to play Strike Fodders because first off, if you really don't want to ride him, and you can search out for another Altmile. Secondly is I only play 7 Great Trees, and I tend to find myself not being able to strike and discarding a Altmile. Sometimes I really do like to call this Altmile because he is also a 15k attacker 16k attacker by itself, because if you're in Brave, it gains 1 crit and 5k. So personally, I'll still play 4 because the only Great Ones booster that you really need is this guy, and he can't be targeted, so he's not affected by removal that much. So these guys are just pretty much there to guarantee your stride. Alright, so let's go on to trigger lineup. Trigger lineup will be kind of different, and I will explain why. So first up, we play 4 copies of the Altmile crit. Really good, pumps up your soul, especially for Altmile plays, and generally just give you 1 free card to your hand. So sometimes you early game you want to go and rush with your Brave, you can just throw it on the field, trigger your Brave abilities, and then just go into soul and draw back the free card. So yeah, pretty good. 4 copies of the brand new Brave crit. She is really good for Brave because right now, sometimes when you're going to your feeders turns, you really want to deplete your hand until you left 2 or less hand size, because otherwise, if you after drive check, you will not be able to activate some of the Brave abilities, especially if you're going for final turn plays. And her ability is if you're in Brave, you can push her into the soul and give 1 unit plus 5k power, which is good because you break the next magic number. So she is really fantastic, and I'm really glad that Brave has gotten more crits. 2 copies of Doggo, similar to her skill, but she only gives 3k instead, and it's just a crit, so yeah. 2 copies of Stand Trigger. The reason why I actually place the Stand Trigger is because I do play 1 copy of Ultima for the deck profile. After this deck profile, I will probably be taking out this Ultima because I do not see any use of Ultima in this Altmile deck, but just for the sake of just showing the beautiful Ultima, I'll be doing it in this deck profile. Ultima just gets so much pluses from Stand Trigger, so if you're playing Ultima in any deck, definitely play a Stand Trigger or 2 because he just gets so much pluses out of these Stand Trigger checks. Alright, so what I recommend is if you don't want to play Ultima or you don't have the budget, don't worry, change this out for something else. Change this to crit triggers because crits really work better in this deck. Especially during your feeders turns where you always attack with your rear guards already, then feeders attacks, all your rear guards will get replaced in stand position anyway, so your stand triggers are pretty much moot, so take them out. Alright, so for that, just play it like this. Alright, next is 4 heal triggers. Brand new heal triggers give us counter charge. Yes! Thank you! So yeah, really good because whenever you bind for whenever you pay cost on G Guardian, you can just bind 2 of them out to counter charge 1. Really good, especially if your opponent were to survive feeders turn. Your counter blast will be depleted. Use a G Guardian, counter charge 1, then you go for defeaters 1 more time. Yes. Yes! Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much the trigger lineup. Highly recommend neutral crits, no draws. Please don't play draws. Yeah. I play 1 starter. This is going to be the starter, and I play 1 tagged in copy of him. Reason why is during some of my games, I do want to go into the old holy sword feeders, blazing sword feeders, because he has the ability to retire rear guards, which is a great surprise, especially against Broken Heart Angels, which is quite big in this meta because of the Ultima. Ultima makes Angel Feathers really broken, if you guys didn't know. His ability is Count Blast 1, during your battle phase, go to soul, and for this turn, all your Brave abilities is active. So it basically triggers your Brave. You can have 100 hand size, and your Brave will be activated, and you can draw on card. Yep, it's pretty much mostly used for that, and he can be searched out by Altmile skill, which is really good because most of my turns where I go into Blazing Fides, I will strike the Altmile. I mean, strike him, search him out, Count Blast 1, go to Soul, then use his skill, GB3 skill if I have to retire my opponent's rear guards, such as Broken Hearts, because if your opponent has Broken Hearts and you want to go to your Fides, good luck, because your Fides won't be touching doing any damage because of the huge Vanguard they will have. And finally, the main starter of the deck is him. When this unit boosts a Brave unit and the attack hits, you may push this guy into Soul, check the top 10 cards of your deck, and search for 2 Altmile cards, add one of them to your hand and then one of them into your Soul. So most of the time, if you have this, please add this to your hand. This one goes into Soul. So that's why you gotta play quite a lot of Altmile, because you really don't want to miss that Soul charge. Basically kind of like a Vanguard Brave, and it's so damn good in the deck. Yeah. Alright, so let's go on to the main attraction, which is the GE units. So first up with the boss monster of the deck, 4 copies of Fides, Holy Sword Fides. Alright, some of you guys may not want to play 4, so if you guys don't want to play 4, play this, but honestly I do not. For budget reasons you can play this, but since I'm playing Japanese and you guys know what happened, I could play 4. So otherwise, if you want to, you can just play Sea Breeze if you want to. I don't know why, because this deck has early game rush, so you don't really need to use Sea Breeze. But if you want to, just go for it. Activate once per turn, so you do not need to be in GB3 to activate his skill. So that's why first strike, if your opponent has 4 damage or more, you can basically OTK them at that turn. So basically Count Blast 1 and flip a G unit face up. For this turn, whenever your Brave unit attacks and your opponent only puts 1 card in the Guardian Circle, the attack will still go through. Really powerful because since Altmile decks are really good at doing the 1 poke, 1 poke, 1 pokes, so opponent will definitely have to drop 2 cards instead of 1. Otherwise the attack will hit through. So that's why Fides is such a great finisher. And his GB4 skill is also really incredible. Brave, when this unit attacks, and if an Altmile Heart, search your deck for 3 cards and call it to Regal Circle. Really simple, and it's free. Even if you do not have the Counter Blast, you can always strike him, swing and just call 3 random ass unit to just swing for face. So yeah, this guy is just too good, and you'll only be striking him or Fides if you want the burn against your opponent's rear guards, especially if playing against Angel Feathers or any defensive decks. So yeah, 4 copies of him. Alright, so next is 4 copies of Blazing Sword Fides, his younger form. Reason why I play 4 is because he has the ability to retire, which Royal Paladins really don't have. And you can retire any rear guard, which is fantastic. Activate once per turn, choose a G unit and turn it face up, and discard 1 card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 and call it to Regal Circle. And the Silver Card unit has a Brave ability, you can draw 1 card. So basically it makes the unit kind of free. So discard 1, you gotta draw back 1 anyway. And he has a second ability, and for this turn, each unit gets a skill, GB3. When this unit attacks, and if you have a face-up card Blazing Sword Fides in your G zone, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So really good against defensive decks like Angel Feather. Really surprising because a lot of people don't realize that actually Royal Paladins has the ability to retire other than Blaster Blade. So yeah, be careful because he has to be in Brave to activate his skill. This is why I use this starter during certain turns. So yeah, just there for the extra retiring power. So 2 copies of Aerial Divine Knight Altmile. Sometimes if I Generation Guard before I strike my first strike, I would go for him instead of Fides. Reason because the unit he costs gain additional 5k power, which is much painful, and the front row gains a 3k power, which is really painful. So now it gives you extra push just in case. 1 copy of the Altmile. Altmile is a godsend for some decks like Angel Feather. They really didn't have the boost they need, and this is pretty much they might as well just name it Angel Feather because this deck has gotten so much benefit from Angel Feather. Ultimate Strike. When this unit enters the Vanguard Circle, search your deck for 4 cards and shuffle your deck. Call 2 of those cards onto your Vanguard Circle, then place the rest of them on top of your deck. So basically what you do is you search out for 4 cards, mostly 2 to the Vanguard and 2 of a trigger, mostly stands and 1 crit. And when this unit attacks, whenever a trigger is checked by an effect, so rescue, drive checks, all your rear guards gains their ability. So basically you check 1 stand trigger, you don't stand 1 unit, stand the whole field. So that's why stand trigger is so powerful in this deck. Alright, so G Guardians. Altmile has gotten some pretty amazing G Guardians. First up, we play 2 copies of the, looks like Sentry Guard Dragon. When this unit enters the Guardian Circle and you're in Brave, it's basically perfect guard. Perfect for the deck because after your Fides turns, you have small hand size. Really good because Brave really deplete their hand a lot, and this is such an amazing G Guardian to have. Next up is 1 Laser Guard Dragon. Just in case I just wanna guard normally, like a normal human, a 20k shield. One copy of Dogo, very reliable because if you don't have Brave, you can just basically flip Laser Cut Dragon for that 25k shield. And then finally, one of my favorite, kind of looks like Jewel Knights, but it's not Jewel Knight. So basically, when this card enters the Guardian Circle and you have Altmile Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to gain 10k shield, 25k shield instantly, and Brave ability. If you're in Brave, 30k shield because it gains an extra 5k shield. So fantastic G Guardian. Yeah, 30k instant shield is just nice to have. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on the Altmile Feeders deck. If you guys would like to see more Vanguard deck profiles, be sure to subscribe to this channel and press the notification bell if you guys want to see updates. And I apologize for not having a deck profile the previous Sunday because I was really busy with set openings from Bodyfight and Vanguard. But if you guys want to see more Vanguard profiles and stuff, it will be on every Sunday. So I hope you guys will check me out. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. Peace out and love you guys.